So I've got a few things I want to talk about tonight, but I just want to go back to our chanting for a minute, because primarily what I want to talk about tonight is effort in Zen practice. So we just chanted for 10 minutes. Some of you don't know the chants very well, so this is less pointed to you than pointed to the people who are more experienced with our chants and have been chanting them for a long time. And I want to ask you, how much effort did you put into your chanting? How much of yourself, of your true self, did you bring to this moment and give up or surrender to the chant? More and more, it is my sense that unless we bring our effort forward into the very moment that we're living, we're actually cheating our practice. That our practice requires a kind of intensity, a kind of willingness to show up and expose ourselves in the moment that we're actually in. We human beings have a tendency to hide behind things, to find a way to slither, if that's the right word, away, and not take responsibility, not to really own up to what's happening, not to face the difficult moments of our life, but again, kind of skitter away and try to avoid what we're afraid of or what we don't like. In some ways, that is specifically the karma that Zen is trying to work with. So I don't usually read from Zen Master Soeng too directly, but I thought I would just read something that he wrote in the Compass of Zen. Now, I'm talking about effort, but as this goes along, you'll see what Zen Master Soeng is talking about is, well, he calls it effort in Zen, just as I have been. Sometimes it's called energy. Just how much energy do you muster for the moment that you're in? And sometimes it's called courage. You know, you've often heard me speak about the three great things that the Chinese claim that we needed to have in order to be a practitioner of Zen. The first we talk about all the time is great question. This great doubt, what am I? What is this? The second we call great effort, or sometimes we call it great courage. And the third is great faith. And if you can imagine a two-winged bird, the two outside wings are great question and great faith. The hinge point, the body of the practice, is great effort. Can we bring ourselves to the moment that we find ourselves in? So Zen Master Soeng has a chapter in the Zen section of the Compass of Zen, and this is the effort in Zen section. And he starts off with a poem. When walking, standing, sitting, lying down, speaking, being silent, moving, being still, at all times, in all places, without interruption, what is this? One moment is infinite kalpas. I'm going to do that once again. When walking, standing, sitting, lying down, speaking, being silent, moving, being still, at all times, in all places, without interruption, what is this? One moment is infinite kalpas. So in a sense here, he's defining effort in Zen practice. Without interruption, what is this? So in a sense, he's saying here, with what effort do we bring up this question, this great doubt? What is this? We so easily fall into assumptions, fall into the narrative, the ideas that we have about what things are and how things are meant to be. we forget that we really don't know. We forget so easily. This has come up a few different ways in the course of this week. And I just want to say this is not a political conversation. This is not a political talk, but we are one day past election day here in the United States. And all of the pundits, all of the talk, and all of the beliefs that I know that I fell into and that my friends did and people I spoke to was that the election was going to go a particular way. Well, then the election actually happened. Of course, we don't know which way it's going, but within a narrow band. What we know is it wasn't what most of us expected. And we so easily forget that the moment is always a surprise. No matter what we believe, no matter what we think is going to happen, we actually can never predict what will come next. Our minds create a narrative, and our belief system structures the narrative. And if we don't pay attention, if we don't bring our effort and our question to the moment, we fall asleep into the patterns of our karmic tendencies that we already believe. So I want to go a little further, just a couple of lines from the body of the chapter. So Zen Master Bon says, any kind of action is not good and not bad and should not be a problem. The most important thing is that you must help your center to become strong so that you can digest all of these experiences and turn them into some kind of wisdom for others. That is very, very important. We must practice every day. And I would just add, not only every day, what he really means is each moment of every day. One moment is infinite kalpas. This moment is all there is. So we must practice each moment of every day. Our outside condition and situation will always change, but this should not confuse us. We should never forget our direction and our vow to get enlightenment for the sake of all suffering beings. The way to do this is to practice in each and every moment. It is very simple. Simple, but not easy. How do we keep our mind right now? How much do we fall into the karmic tendencies that always drag us around? And how much do we bring our great question, what am I? Just in this moment, letting go of assumption, letting go of ideas, and show up and participate in the moment. So I asked earlier, how much effort did you bring to your practice? How much effort did you bring to your chanting? I could ask, how much effort did you bring to your meditation? Here in California, it's now 7:51 in the evening. That means each of us on this call, for some, it's maybe 9 or 10:51. James, you're here from Thailand. I don't even know what time it is. But all of us have had a full experience today. Did you show up for it? How did you handle your day? Did you show up or did you move away? Did you bring the fullness of your energy from your Tangen to the moment? Small moments or big moments. Driving, sitting, standing, walking, sleeping. I think Zen Master Bon tried to cover just about all the different states that we keep our body. In whatever state we're keeping our body, where is our attention? Where's our question? And where's our faith? In the whole world is a single flower, hung on number 35. He says, it's titled The Three Essential Elements of Zen. These are the three essential elements of Zen: great faith, great courage, and great question. If you have great faith, you can attain correct way. If you have great courage, you can attain truth. If you have great question, you attain great life, correct life. Having great faith is like a hen sitting on her eggs to keep them warm. She always keeps her direction, never moving no matter what. Having great courage or great effort is like a cat catching a mouse. The cat focuses 100% of its strength and attention on one point and one action. First on waiting, then on pouncing. Having great question is like a person who has not eaten for 3 days, who only thinks of food. Or it's like someone who is thirsty, having worked all day in the hot sun with nothing to drink, and who thinks only of water. Or it's like a child whose mother is farther away. This child only wants his mother, and his mind thinks only of her. Great question is single-mindedness, a mind that is focused only on one thing. And that one thing in Zen practice is, what is this right now? What is it that's going on? Right now, having the energy and the faith and the courage and the question to strip away our ideas and beliefs, to be able to perceive clearly in the moment. Each one of us today has faced situations that we've not faced before. Even if we've done the same task 1,000 times, in this moment, it's new and it's fresh. How do we keep our mind? Do we rely on our ideas and our beliefs? Or can we bring our energy and our effort to the moment and really meet it? In our precept ceremony, there's a line that says, when we do a little burn on our arm in the precept ceremony, and it says, this burn is like igniting dry grass, completely extinguished. And in that moment, our karma is extinguished. Our mind is extinguished, so that we're actually right here, right now. This idea of effort applies always and everywhere. It doesn't matter what we're doing. Even watching television, you think, oh, that's my escape time. I'm just going to relax. But if you stay present, you're alive. If you're just kind of drifting away, you're actually already dead. Our Zen practice requires us to be alive and present in the moment we're in. The work that I do as a psychotherapist and as a Zen teacher, it kind of makes it easy, because it doesn't matter really how I'm feeling. You don't really care too much about the struggles that I had today. It's not your place as the listener to even question where I've come from today. But right now, you're listening. And it's my job to show up and to express. I might like it. I might not like it. I might be anxious. I might be relaxed. I might have a feeling I'm just speaking a lot of bullshit, and God, why are these people all listening to me? But all I can do is step forward and do it. Too much self-criticism, too much self-judgment, too much holding an idea and a fear. of that fear of exposure, it separates us. And that means we're not doing our job. Our job is to be alive and present in this moment. So we use great question as our tool. What am I? What is this? That question helps us cut through our beliefs and our ideas and come face to face with the naked reality of the moment. We're all naked together. Here we are. Do we have the courage to show up? And it looks like I'm going to finish a little earlier than I usually do, but I want to go one more step into this question of great faith. You know, we've talked about great faith numbers of times here on Wednesday nights, and I've often said that the faith piece of those three greats is the hardest one for me to wrap my mind around. But I think in just reading from the Kungan tonight, I could hear Zen Master Soeng San's point that actually clarifies it. It's like a hen sitting on her eggs. The hen doesn't know why she's sitting on her eggs. The hen doesn't have the thought, oh, I have to do this because I have to keep the eggs warm. It's the hen's instinct to sit on those eggs. And of course, I'm sure in nature, there are always times where the hen walks away and the eggs never come to a live birth. But most of the time, they just sit. And their hardship, what they like or don't like is not the point. They just sit on the egg. That's faith. Without having to necessarily understand, we do our job, we show up. Many, many years ago, at a ceremony at the Providence Zen Center, somebody said to Zen Master Soeng San, Zen Master, when you die, I am going to follow you. And Sansanim said, oh no, you don't want to go where I'm going, because when I die, I go straight to hell. Zen Master, you've been practicing your whole life. You've been helping all these people. Why would you go to hell? And he said, that's where the most suffering is. That's where they need a Zen center. So we gravitate to where we can use our energy to help this world. That's the bodhisattva vow. Our teaching is if we're too focused on our own well-being, we're actually causing ourselves more harm. When we let go of the attachment to ourselves and we give of ourselves in two ways, probably more than two ways, but in two ways we're helping this world. Number one is we're offering ourselves to others. We're making that effort to make others have a better situation, be happy, any way you want to think about it. So that's offering the gift of our practice and our lives for the benefit of others. My experience is when I do that, not only does the world around me improve, but I also get the benefit of that. And one of the benefits of the bodhisattva vow of offering ourselves up for the benefit of all beings is we knock some of the blocks out from underneath our self-centeredness. We human beings can be so self-centered. Everything revolves around me, my. And we forget that you and I are one. We forget the most basic point that if we're just paying attention to our own needs, we're playing a zero-sum game. Whatever I win, you have to lose. But when we focus on the benefit of others, it becomes more of a win-win situation where we can lift up everyone and we can help. Now, I don't know how you can help. You have to decide. But one thing I do know, in order to do it, you have to bring yourself forward. You have to bring that true nature right to this moment and open your chest, expose yourself. What am I? What is this? More and more I notice in the work I do and in the people I work with and just the world around me, I just see how much of the time we human beings hide away. We don't bring ourselves to the moment. We're always trying to keep ourselves safe, or most often separating a little bit so we stay safe. And a lot of times when I'm working with people, I hear a lot of, I don't really want to. I don't really like that. What I'm about to say is no criticism to anybody who might have had this experience at the beginning of the pandemic. But it was interesting early on in the pandemic when we moved to being online, either through Zoom or some other online program. There were people, like in my psychotherapy practice, there were a few people said, oh, I don't like Zoom. I don't want to do that. So they left, which is fine. That was a choice they made. But they didn't even know. Our experience 3 years later is much different than it was at the beginning. But people, we have a tendency to just follow our likes and dislikes. And that's what Zen Master Bon Soeng is referring to when he talks about the suffering. That if we just follow our likes and dislikes, we think we're going to bring ourselves happiness. But ultimately, we're just bringing more suffering to ourselves. It's when we get beyond our likes and dislikes that the world benefits. And unless the world benefits, our happiness doesn't mean that much. You might get what you want, but then what? So I just want to finish off with a line that I've quoted many times to you all before, but I think it's appropriate. When I was talking about narrative, I was talking about we just fall into our beliefs and we believe what we believe that's going to happen. And we just create a whole narrative and mindset to believe, okay, I know. So to just tell a little bit against myself, I tried to stay quite optimistic for much of September and October. And again, I don't mean to betray all of my political leanings. I'm just using this as a point of reference. But by last week, I kept looking at the polls and I started to get more and more discouraged. And I fell into an old belief pattern. And then who knows how it'll ultimately work out, but it wasn't what I anticipated. And just because it was like something yesterday doesn't mean it's going to be like that today. So you've heard this quote from me. It's one of my favorites from the comedian Gracie Allen. And she said, don't put a period where God puts a comma. What I notice is human tendency is to think, okay, this is the way it is now. And everything has stopped evolving because now it's like this. But everything is always changing. That's the basic teaching of impermanence in Buddhism. If you're happy, you don't like impermanence because it means it's going to disappear. But if you're unhappy, impermanence is your friend. Just wait. This will change. Our challenge is to bring our effort to the moment as it is, not as a fixed point, but a part of a process that's ongoing of existence. The world as it is today is not what the world will be like tomorrow. Our climate is changing, and a lot of us are in a lot of despair and concern for the earth. And I share a lot of that. And yet, we don't know. We don't know where it leads. And we don't know the meaning of what happens. I don't know about you, but I notice in my life, what I think was bad yesterday, if I wait long enough, I often find out that, well, actually, it wasn't bad. It opened up something new. The image of the lotus in Buddhism is that it grows out of the mud. The phoenix rises out of the ashes. The destruction of one thing opens up new possibilities. Our lives are finite. We may never know what that possibility actually is. I was reading a historian last night, and I can't think of her name. A lot of you have probably been reading her, Heather Cox, something. Yeah. So she was writing about, I think it was the 1890s, and how a particular election felt like something. But I'm not telling the story that well. But from historical viewpoint, you can see the changes that happen, that the despair of one election 12 years later opened up a whole new direction of our country. We never know. This isn't the end, it's this moment. And if we bring our energy to this moment, we actually can respond to it. We say the past is already gone. And really, we think we remember the past, but we only remember our version of the past. Anything outside of our frame of reference is not included in the past. So we think we know the past, but we really don't know the past. The future hasn't happened yet. We have an idea what it's going to look like, but we really don't know. And I don't know about you, but I don't think 20 years ago I could have ever predicted this moment. Whatever idea I had of what 20 years from now is going to look like, it didn't happen that way. And it's very likely whatever you believe is going to be, this world will be like in 20 years, is not what this world will be like. It's only our dream. In this moment, we bring our energy fully and we're alive. And that's where we can impact the world. Past is gone, future hasn't yet come. Right now, we're present, we're alive. Do it. That's our practice.